Okay, we're good. Okay. Welcome, everybody. Today is Wednesday, February 8th, and it is 10 o'clock. And this is the Lincoln County Board of Commissioners regular Wednesday meeting. I'll go ahead and call the meeting to order. We do have all three commissioners here today, so we do have a quorum. First, we'll start with our adoption of the consent calendar. These are items of a routine nature, but either staff or commissioners can pull things off the consent calendar for further discussion or deliberation if needed. Otherwise, I'm ready for a motion. I will say, though, that I do see we're cleaning up our road district. So that is great.
Madam
Yeah.
Chair,
Updating membership.
Yeah.
I did want to highlight that. I appreciate Skylar Campa helping us out with this, and we're getting our road districts doing our due diligence to make sure that all the appointments are up to date. So yeah, I think things are going good, and a couple more weeks and everything should be tidy. So I would move that we adopt our consent calendar.
I'll second that motion.
Okay, I have a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All right, motion carries. Next up, we're going down to discussion information to discuss the Lincoln County Fair Board appointment. So before I pass it over to our county manager, just a little bit of history and background. Actually, maybe Claire wants to do a little history and background since you've been on that.
Oh, I'd be happy to do it. Since I loved it. Well, you know, for a long time, we have been working on a path toward a modern, functional county commons, Lincoln County Commons, the home of the Lincoln County Fair. I think it was in 2007, we stood up the Blue Ribbon Committee, a citizen committee chaired by Frank Geltner that focused on several things, including we sought out public input throughout the county, and there was support for continuation of the annual fair event, for a modern multi-purpose facility to host that event and other activities. And that kind of put us on a path where there have been detours, things have gotten delayed for various circumstances, but always been working toward the day where we could move forward with some confidence and a good vision for the future. In 2009, the then incumbent Fair Board resigned as a group, and at that time, Mr. Geltner, who had chaired the Blue Ribbon Committee, Jim Beisman, who was then our Public Works and Roads Director, has since retired, and I were appointed as an interim Lincoln County Fair Board. That was in 2009. My colleagues at the time promised me it would be a one-year appointment. Well, things happen sometimes when you're making other plans, but I'm really excited that we're now at the stage where we are ready to move past the caretaker Fair Board model and start bringing new faces in. Well, some of them have actually been part of the fair for quite a while, not all of them, but over the next few months, this order, if we approve it, replaces the existing 3 board members with 3 new Fair Board members. Under state law, a county fair board can consist of anywhere from 3 to 7 members. So it's a milestone moment, and I appreciate you. And I believe Heather Tower of OSU Extension interviewed the candidates. It was very nice to see. We actually had more applicants than slots available. So,
and we have several applicants that came here today, and then one online as well. So
great.
Great. So,
Madam Chair, just a quick question for Commissioner Hall. You know, what were the pain points you think, just kind of looking back historically, that the Fair Board struggled with? Just some context briefly.
Oh boy, you know, county fairs in Oregon and around the country have struggled for a long time. And, you know, I know the folks, kudos to the folks who were Fair Board members, and then the Blue Ribbon, and then the And then what was your group called that put on the fair for about 5 years?
Fair and rodeo.
Town and Country.
The Town and
Town
Country
and
Fair
Country.
Association. Hey, you did it, what, 5 years, I think?
I think myself was just there for 3 years.
Okay, so a lot of folks have kept the event going through the years, but it's resources. I just remember reading a couple of years ago, Washington County found they had to demolish 4 buildings on their grounds because the advanced deterioration, they were beyond maintenance repairing. So, I think it's a case of where we'll look to carry forward the best traditions, the things that keep people coming back to the fair year after year, but at the same time, to kind of develop new vision and new ways of, I think, interacting with the community that should be exciting.
Yeah, thank you. Appreciate it.
Sure.
Administrator Johnson.
Commissioners, Chair, for the record, Tim Johnson, County Administrator. As a precursor to this, Chair Jacobson, there was a selection committee. You served on it along with Heather Tower, who is with the OSU Extension for the county, and she is also the fair manager. So the interview process took place. The recommendations before you today and up for your discussion and approval are the following slate of candidates. Daniel Helfrich would replace Frank Gellner effective March 1 of this year for the term beginning January 1 and through December 31st of 2025. Colleen Robert would replace Fair Board member James Beisman effective April 1st, 2023 for the term beginning January 1, 2023 until December 31st, 2025. Todd Butterfield would replace Fair Board member Commissioner Claire Hall effective May 1st, 2023 for the term beginning January 1, 2023 until December 31st, 2025. Todd Williver replaces both non-voting Fair Board members as an ex officio. And for that purpose, for public record, Mr. Williver was the past fair manager. And his term would be effective March 1st of 2023 for the beginning of January 1, 2023 until December 31st, 2025. As such, there are no fiscal impacts related to the appointment of fair members on any of our accounts. I can take any questions that you may have.
Yeah, I guess I would just add a few things. So I think as Commissioner Hall said, we can appoint a fair board from 3 to 7. We really felt like with skill sets and interests and stuff, while we had more than 3 people apply, we really thought Daniel and Colleen and Todd would make a really good working fair board. And then we also realized we had 2 ex officio non-voting members currently on our fair board. And I don't know there had been much participation. One person had actually passed away several years ago. And so we thought Todd kind of being in this non-voting role just to kind of provide advice and expertise would be helpful. Also, you'll probably notice there's kind of a rolling start date, which we talked about with all of the applicants during the process. And we just thought it might be very difficult to have all 3 existing members come off and all 3 new at the same exact time. So kind of having this rolling on off may kind of help with that a little bit. And what else did I want to say? Also, it was talked about in interviews was that this is going to be a working fair board, and our fair manager really expects that everybody takes on, specific tasks, and all of the people that we interviewed, everybody was willing to do that. So just a big thank you for everybody who did apply, and for those of you that might be moving forward with an appointment. Questions from other
Yes.
commissioners? Yes.
I'm not sure, who are you referencing as both non-voting Fair Board members?
I would have to look back at who
Is
that
it
was.
Possibly our two emeritus members. I know one of them has passed away. but
Yes,
Yeah, so
yes.
neither of them have been actively participating in many, many years. It was essentially something I think we created. One had served almost 30 years, the other more than 40s, just as they left the board, a recognition of service.
Yeah, and we did there, I think Miss Capitelli or Miss Kelly had a conversation with the still living person and they were ready to let that go.
Yeah.
So,
And then just a question about having all three terms expire at the end of 2025. I mean, hopefully, and our expectation is this will be a happy, harmonious working group, but if we do need to bring new people on board, isn't it, my familiarity with similar situations is like maybe one person serves a 2-year term, another serves a 3-year, I'm not sure exactly how you'd stagger it, but staggering the end dates of terms.
it's a decent suggestion. Yeah.
Yeah, just a suggestion that we could consider.
I would have to look back in our order. I don't remember if those are all 2-year terms or, yeah. Do you remember Administrator Johnson? The 3-year terms?
3-year terms.
Okay.
So originally, we had 2026 on here for the 3-year term, but I was corrected for 2025. So that's what the staff report provides to you.
And maybe the MOA defines it as a hard 3 years. And I don't know if the MOA mentioned staggering or not, but
No, that's set by board order. So commissioners, you could set the terms, one could expire. So if it started in 2022, if you stagger that, then they would expire at the end of, 2024. You could do it that way.
I think a stagger is good. Yeah.
we do that with road districts as
I
well.
mean, that's the same reason we're staggering people off and staggering people on is just to kind of have some of that overlap. So I think having a staggering term would be positive. Yeah.
Okay,
So
makes sense.
what about having one expire at the end of 2024, one at 25 and one at 26?
Mhm.
Yeah, I'd be
I would-
okay with that. So that would be a 24, 25.
Are you doing them by the way that they're identified on the staff report? 1, 2, 3 that way?
Yeah, I don't think
Okay.
that's fine. So I think we had this under discussion information. And so this will come back next week. A decision action, everyone okay with that, with the changes on the staggering term ends? And then we would notify candidates of that, final decision after next week when we potentially adopt. So, okay, thank you, Administrator Johnson. Okay, next up is reports. Do we have reports from commissioners? Commissioner Miller?
Oh, thank you, Madam Chair. I would say attended Citizen Academy again last night.
This is the Sheriff's Citizen Academy?
Yes,
okay.
yeah, and continue to be, impressed with the work they do. Made a social media post yesterday in regard to kind of like, I would call it a long form reports instead of really putting that through the meeting here. It's online. I think maybe in our new website, I might move that to our website as opposed to necessarily do it on social media. So folks can catch up with me and see some of the things I'm doing or see some of the activity of the board that I think is important for folks to know. And tomorrow is my first M-Team meeting.
Oh, okay.
So I'm looking forward to that and just seeing, how our management team works together and Excited.
Should we
Looking
break
forward to it.
precedent, Madam Chair, and tell them about the secret initiation rites in advance?
Uh-oh. Really?
Swallowing
No.
a goldfish or something.
Yeah.
Look out, right?
Yeah, I will say, bringing coffee and treats always goes a long way with the empty.
Ah,
That's maybe the
thanks.
secret.
There you
Yeah,
go.
There you
Heads
go.
up.
Yeah.
No, that's all I have. Thank you.
Thanks, Commissioner Miller. Commissioner Hall?
Well, I guess what's turning into a weekly update on the governor's emergency declaration on homelessness. Friday afternoon, a message came out of Representative Gomberg's office that there is now a more detailed or alternate path for requesting to be included in the emergency declaration. One, the unsheltered population for 2022 must be greater than 30 households. I don't see us having any problem meeting that requirement, unfortunately. Two, the community has declared a local state of emergency related to homelessness. We haven't done that yet, but just in our discussions of this in previous weeks, I was sensing a willingness to do that, provided that we believe it will have some kind of practical impact. I'm seeing nods. Okay. At least one of the following is true. This first one, 3A, was unsheltered homelessness increased by 50% or more between 2017 and 2022. And we know that because of the inadequacies of our local point in time count, we don't have documentation of that, even though, anecdotal experience with our social service and law enforcement and healthcare agencies and local nonprofits certainly would suggest a significant growth. But the new opportunity, the rate of unsheltered homelessness in 2022 was 80% or greater of the entire homeless population. So I'm hoping we might be able to make it work under that provision, 3B. I'm in consultation with folks at CSC and other local agencies. We're
What's
gonna-
the last one? You said there was 3 bullets. You read the first 2. What's the last?
Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah, let me go back to that. Yeah, number 1 is greater than 30 households in 2022 unsheltered.
Yeah.
Number 2 is the declaration of a local state of emergency. Number 3 is either the 50% increase in unsheltered homelessness over the 5-year period, or
Oh,
the
okay.
2022 rate has to be 80% of the entire homeless population.
Thanks. I thought there was 3 things. We had to meet one of them. There was 2. We had to meet.
Yeah, had to be
Okay.
one of those two, as long
Thanks.
as,
And did they have Claire, Commissioner Hall, do they have a definition of what they consider to be unsheltered? Because that can really change from agency to agency. Like,
that's one of
is
the
it a
things in this
car
rather
considered
lengthy.
sheltered or
Well,
unsheltered?
if we go by the federal HUD definition, which is the most commonly used for point in time count, another is living in a vehicle, whether it be, a car, a van, a motor home. Basically living in any place not meant for human habitation, like an alley, an abandoned building, a doorway. So folks in recognized shelters, such as Samaritan House or my sister's place, are not counted.
And then McKinney Bento has a different definition.
Yeah, much
Yeah.
broader, basically anything that's not safe and stable. So the families doubled up are included in the McKinney Bento count but not in the HUD count.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think the rate of unsheltered in 2022 is 80% or greater of our homeless. I actually do think we can show that
Yeah.
through some of the homeless student data as well. I think it gets us there.
Yeah.
So
Thank you.
So
Yeah.
we'll report in next week, hopefully, maybe have, or it might be the following week, but hopefully have a draft of a declaration and a formal request to Oregon Office of Emergency Management, who is processing requests to be included in the declaration. And You know, there is a lot potentially at stake here. The governor's asked from the legislature just to help support this declaration is $130 million. And, you know, of course, it's up to the legislature. The governor proposes, the legislature disposes, but say that was funded and it was extended statewide, since we're 1% of the state population roughly, that would translate to $1.3 million. And that's real money that I think I know we'd make a significant difference with it.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay,
Great.
thanks, Commissioner Hall.
That's all for me.
All right, moving on to public comment. We'll start with any online public comment we might have. All right, so this is our submitted public comment forms that we have received. Online, sure, yeah.
Looks like Brigitte input.
Okay. And this all comes in through our smart sheet form.
Yes, it is archived online too on the meeting page. If others want to look at it.
Mhm.
Okay. All right, let's see if we have any public comment online, anyone that wants to give us. Not live, well, yeah.
You never know.
Live public comment online.
Yeah.
All right, if you do, you can raise your virtual hand. I think hit that attendees. Yeah, okay. I don't see anybody. All right, do we have anyone signed up in person to provide public comment? Okay. All right.
Brigitte Breisling.
Brigitte.
Yeah.
Brigida.
Brigida. Even I'm out there.
Brigida.
Brigida.
All right.
Welcome.
Thank you very
Welcome.
much. Good morning, commissioners and staff. I'm Brigida Reisling and I reside at 4306 Southeast Ellis Street,
Are you gonna-
up the hill here in Newport. And I'm also have the privilege of being the president of Oregon Coast Community College. And there are big things happening at the college. And I've submitted written testimony that has the technical details. So I'm going to skim over some of that and just use my 3 minutes to communicate about what we believe to be a truly pivotal moment in the history of the college. And building upon in 1987, this college was founded, which I always say was an audacious move that citizens got together and said Lincoln County needs its own community college. And then in about 2008 and 9, through a bond measure, facilities were built for the college. In 2020, we achieved independent accreditation for the college, and it truly became Lincoln County's community college. And our students proudly carry our diploma now, which was not true up until 2020. And the thing that is before us is we believe that this community deserves and needs much more effective and relevant career technical education training, and that requires facilities to do so. So the college is undertaking a bond measure to fund those facilities. And subject to, our board meets later this month on the 15th, and they did first read of the measure in January, and they had that as their action item in February. And we're doing a public, communications to all of our various governance entities and civic organizations, just so that people know what is happening here. This bond, if it passes, will also bring to the community $8.124 million already committed from the state through their bonding efforts, but we need the local match to do that. And then the additional funds raised here locally is $32 million. With that, the project expected to be financed are the new Trades Education Center, which will expand the career options and skilled trades for Lincoln County residents. That is here at the Newport facility. It will also expand, adapt, and modernize existing facilities, CTE, and also adapt others. What we've learned through the pandemic, there are certain things that people are comfortable moving online for their education, but there's some things that must be hands-on. And so we see that, our nursing program, aquarium science, we are able to start welding at facilities not our own and all of that. And those people are coming in person, and there's a need for a lot of other trade fields in that. So there's technical details about the bond. It's a replacement bond. So the current bonds that built the college will expire in 2 years. There's a slight overlap on that, but this will really continue funding to allow us to really do this. There's also other things we intend to do that have to do with the college has a pretty significant role in being part of a countywide emergency response efforts. We already play a part of that, and we would like to do more with that, and we want to take that into our consideration as well. So and the last thing, some familiar faces. So our advocacy role, which must end once we file as a public employee, right? So, but we do have a political action committee led by some familiar faces in the community. So David Bigelow and Patrick O'Connor, the retired president for Oregon Coast. And I feel proud that between Patrick and I, we represent about 30 years of leadership of this college, and we are united in believing this is the thing we need to do. We'd be delighted if the commission is interested in a presentation where you can ask, questions about what we're doing. We'd be delighted to return at some point and do that.
Thank you. We are at time.
All
Appreciate
right.
it. Thanks
You're
for
very
being
welcome.
here.
Thank you
Yeah.
for
Thanks so much.
Thank you very much.
All right. Anyone else that wants to give in-person public comment?
We have Mike Smith.
Oh, okay.
Smith. Morning, Mike.
Hi.
Morning, Commissioners. I'm Mike Smith. I live at 80 Northeast 72nd Street in Newport. I'm one of the applicants. Unfortunately, had enough applicants that I didn't have to be chosen for this fair board. But I do have the question that it was supposed to expand from 3 to 5 people in the fair board, was what I was told when I applied and interviewed, and I don't see 5 people. And another concern that I have is that one person that's on there, at least I know, is not a Lincoln County resident, and this is the Lincoln County Fair. So that's the question and the concern that I have. That's all I have. Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you, Mike.
All right. Any other public comment? No? Okay. All right. Our next meeting is going to be, where'd that go? I got cut off. There we go. Wednesday, February 15th at 10 a.m. here in this room and also online. And we are adjourned.